The CEO is a very unique animal. It's an animal that hunts, thinks, sleeps, and lives differently from all other species. It has its own language and its own instincts. It eats last and has worries that no one else has. The CEO has thoughts it can't express to its employees, to its friends, and to its spouse. It's an animal unlike any other animal. I'm Alex Gertzberg, and this is CEO Confidential, where we learn about this rare breed, one heartbreak, one victory, one story at a time. This show is sponsored by the law firm of Gertzberg Licata, your ally for business growth. Hey folks, Alex Gertzberg here. Welcome to CEO Confidential. You're about to listen to a pretty cool interview we did with Leslie Zinn. Leslie's the owner of Arden's Garden, Atlanta's premier fresh juice manufacturer. From humble beginnings, driving door to door to deliver health and wellness to her community, and then fast forwarding to over 25 years later, Arden's Garden has grown to 20 retail stores and 2 squeezing facilities. Arden's dream of good health for all continues to be alive and well. Leslie keeps her values at the forefront of her business, always ensuring that her products are created from the most pure ingredients and never compromising on doing the right thing, as you're about to hear in this interview. Thanks. Leslie, you told me this great story the other day that started in 2003 and involved CocaCola and Publix. So tell me about that time when Coca-Cola and Publix made your world much more stressful.
Okay, sure. So in 2003, we had just bought our first plant. Really excited about that. And we were about 4 months into having moved in when I got a phone call from Publix on a Friday afternoon saying, are you sitting down? And I said, yes. And they said, we are going to stop taking your product beginning tomorrow. And at that point, we had been selling to Publix for 5 years. We had grown very steadily with them. They were a significant portion of our business.
How significant?
I would say 30 to 40% of our business.
Okay. And at that point, your business is how old and how big?
We started in 1995, so it was 8 years old. I don't know the numbers back then, but I don't even think we had cracked 1 million at that point.
Okay.
So, yeah, I literally saw my life flash before my eyes. I just thought, this is it. I really could barely put a sentence together. I was as cordial as I could be. I hung up the phone and then I thought, oh my gosh, we are so dead in the water. And so I went home and I took the weekend to think about things and so what had happened was Coca-Cola had purchased Odwalla, and they had a really strong relationship with Publix, and they were bringing Odwalla southeast, and they had told Publix that they wanted us off the shelf and Odwalla on the shelf, and that's what they had agreed to. So they were getting rid of us in exchange for Odwalla. So I thought about what are the differences in our companies and in our products. And I thought, okay, well, our product tastes better. Okay, great. And our product is healthier because we used real fruits and vegetables. Okay, great. And then I thought, and we have really loyal customers. And okay, great. I couldn't really respond about Odwalla. So on Monday, I came back to work. I did feel a little bit better, but I was still just in roughly panic mode. And I sent an email out to about 30 people that had some way either worked with us, written about us, dealt with us, basically saying that if you wanted to be able to buy Arden's Garden in Publix, or you just wanted to support small business, please reach out to Publix because they will listen. And I knew that because I had dealt with Publix for 5 years, and they're the most customer-centric company. And that email must have touched a nerve with a lot of people because it got forwarded thousands of times, and a lot of people reached out to Publix. And so 3 weeks later, I got a phone call from Publix that said, "Hey, we're going to bring you back. And not only are we going to bring you back in the original 40 stores that you were in, but we're going to bring you in through the warehouse. So you're going to be distributed to 200 stores."
Wow.
So that initial, just down and out, this could be the end, turned out to be just an incredible opportunity for us.
So this story goes on much longer, and we're going to tell it, but I want to talk about that weekend, right?
Yeah.
So you said you get the call on a Friday,
Yeah.
and on Monday, you had sort of tamed the voice in your head that was telling you everything's over, right?
Yes.
Do you remember how that sort of how those thoughts evolved? Like, how do you go from holy shit, it's over, I'm gonna have to lay everybody off, to aha, I've got an idea, and then at that, even when you had that idea, you didn't know if that was going to work, right? I mean, talk about sort of the emotional processes and the thought processes that sort of,
Sure.
you know, took you from holy shit, it's over, to oh, we're now in 200 stores.
Okay. Well, I was a single mom at the time. I had a 2-year-old. And so the greatest thing in the world is when you're not focused on yourself. And when you go home from work and you have a 2-year-old and you're a single mom, well, you're focused on your child. So I think the biggest thing that happened was I got the attention off of myself
Mm.
and how I was going to fail and how this was going to affect me. So it allowed my brain, just doing that, allowed my brain to calm down,
Mm-hmm.
and get a little bit of distance. And then I had a friend that was staying with me for a little bit, and I was talking with her about, the situation, and just basically verbalizing what I was going through, what I thought our strengths were. It really made it more solid for me. And then I'm always about action, what is it? Paralysis of analysis,
Mm-hmm.
get into
Yeah.
action. So um, I thought, okay, I know these things about our company, our customers, our products, but what can I do about that? So I'm going to send out this email. So I
Yeah.
wasn't just going to sit there and wait,
What
but
are
I
the
didn't have any idea it was going to result the way it did.
Sure, right. And how much time goes by from that letter writing campaign? You might have said this, and is it 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
So what are those 3 weeks feeling like and looking like?
They felt pretty good because I had a lot of people reach out to me. That email touched a nerve, and people were letting me know that they were going to speak to Publix.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt a lot of rallying and a lot of support.
Yeah. Did you have a plan B?
No.
All
Yeah, to
right.
keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now your Publix calls you back.
Hmm.
You're in 200 stores.
Right.
Everything's great. Then what happens?
So after about a year and a half, we didn't have a long shelf life, and we couldn't sustain the sales in the area outside of Atlanta. So after about a year and a half, they stopped us through the distribution center, and they brought us back to just being an Atlanta-based direct store delivery company. And then, so I didn't tell you this previously, but Yahoo called me. They had a series called Driven, and they had read a little bit about us, and they decided they wanted to film a segment on us and this situation. Even though this is 2012. Um, they called us and they said, we want to put out something. So it was about entrepreneurs, and so they did a video on us. It was maybe a 5-minute video, and it told this story. And that
Hmm.
video got 1 million hits the first day, and
Wow.
it crashed our website. Yeah, we got thousands of orders from that video.
So timing wise, so this is like 9 years later.
9 years later,
So and Publix takes you back to the direct store
Atlanta.
delivery
That's correct.
model. So they shrunk your
That's right.
business.
They shrunk us back, but
Yeah.
they shrunk us back at a time when we could better accommodate that shrink. So,
Because
we
you had
went
other,
from
yeah.
we had grown, you
Right.
know, so it wasn't such a huge hit.
Yeah. So Yahoo does this story, their
Yeah.
website crashes, that gives you a lot more press and attention. Then
Yeah.
what happens?
So that was an amazing PR event, sales event, wonderful. And then in I guess 2018, I get a phone call. No, I got an email from someone I didn't recognize the email address, but the email address was at publix.com. So I was immediately nervous because, oh gosh, here we go with Publix again.
Right.
And the email says, please give me a call. And I call the person and he says to me, hey, you don't remember me, do you? And I didn't. And he said, I used to be a produce manager in Atlanta, and I'm now the buyer of your category. And I remember what great service Arden's Garden always gave us and what quality products. And I saw your product in a competitor in North Carolina, and I want to know why you haven't grown with Publix. And I said, I don't know. I would love to grow with Publix. And he said, well, I would love to give you that opportunity. And so within 6 months, they took us from these, we were probably in 50 stores at this point, from 50 stores to 600 stores.
Wow. Do you know if any of that had anything to do with the Yahoo?
So, and I don't know. It did not initially. Okay. So they asked us to come down to Lakeland, which is where Publix's headquarters are. And we flew down there to meet with them. And just as an offhand comment, I said, it was a really scary time for us. It resulted in such a great opportunity. And then 9 years later, it resulted in even greater opportunity. I mentioned the video. And then the next time that we came down, I could tell that they had watched it.
Yeah.
And the video is very complimentary to them.
But you're saying you could tell that they had watched it before this buyer called you?
No.
Or it was after?
So we went from 600 stores the first year.
Yeah.
To the following year, they took us company wide, which is 1,200 stores.
Wow. I mean, there's so much irony there because the conversation with the buyer probably doesn't happen but for the 30 people that you emailed, right? So that campaign happens, right? And then that creates this putting you guys back on Publix's shelf. That story then gets put out through Yahoo, and you have this kind of legend around you now. And give me an idea, by the way, and if this is not public information, then don't share it, and the editor will just take this out. But can you share what your revenue numbers were like during each of these sort of places, these events?
Let's see. In 2003, we were still, well, we had not crossed $1 million.
Right, you said that, yeah.
In 2012, we had, but I would say, and I'm talking about total revenue, not just Publix.
Yeah.
I would say in 2012, I don't know. I really don't know but I mean, when it came time for Publix allowed for, I will just put it this way. Publix allowed for enormous growth for us.
Right. Leslie, so as you think back, and I know there's a funny story about the pallet falling over that
Yeah.
we'll save that for the sequel.
Okay.
But lessons learned here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when I say what biggest lesson learned, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
The biggest lesson learned is don't ever give up.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep pushing forward. And if you keep pushing forward, you're going to uncover some things. And the first thing that I uncovered was, I think the thing that really made this event take place was the loyalty of our customers and how close we had stayed to them. So we also have our own retail stores. So we actually see our customers come into the store and talk directly with us. So we maintain this relationship with our customers that was very tight. And I didn't realize how tight it was until we asked them to go to bat for us, and they did. And that really emphasized the importance of maintaining that relationship.
Is there anything else? That is the first thing that came to your mind, and I see
Yeah.
how it would be. What
So
else
the
comes to
other
mind?
thing is, when it came time, so we've always done the right thing no matter what. Like we never cut corners in our ingredients. We never, when everybody was going to pasteurized juices, we maintained fresh, even though there was no shelf life, there was no growth in that.
Mm.
We really stuck to our values. And I didn't realize that not everybody does that. And so what came to pass is that when a produce manager that we serviced his store on a weekly basis got promoted, he remembered the quality and he remembered the service. And he came back to reach out to us to give us that opportunity. And so, because we had always consistently done the right thing, it really paid off in spades.
All right, I want to stay there for a minute or two, right? Because it begs the question, how do you know you're doing the right thing, right? And I think your answer is, well, you know what your core values are,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, Unpack that for me, Leslie, right? Do you have them written somewhere? Does everybody know what your core values are? Or how clear are they? What are they?
So that's a great question. Our core values are something that we live on a daily basis. It's just the way we operate, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um, it is not written on the wall, although it will be something that these are all goals that we want to, so as we grow bigger, when you're a very small company, everyone's living them with you because you're working together shoulder by shoulder. But I mean, I think you, when you're doing the right thing, you don't have that rub in your chest,
Mm.
you're not going against what is right for you. And so, as the leader of the company, I was, determining a lot of the things that we were doing, and I wasn't just knew when it was the right thing to do, and everybody that worked with me knew it too.
Yeah. Yeah. You and I talked about Shoe Dog. How did you get much farther in that book since last we spoke?
It's so funny. I've been thinking about. I was listening to it over the
Yeah.
weekend, and yeah, I love this book, and I'm just amazed. I'm right now where he just got through with the customs $25 million.
Yeah. So his definition
Hmm.
of the right thing is always tell the truth, right? And that
Yeah.
he
Yep.
says I only ever had to
Except for
think.
that one time he didn't. Oh, no, no, no. When he stole
He looked over at
with
the other dude's notes.
Katame's, he took
Yeah,
them. He didn't,
that's
he
right.
took them.
That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, he was very clear. Always tell the truth and build the best running shoe you can build. It
Right.
was
That's right.
those are the only two things that he needed to think about ever.
Right.
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 And it does simplify things. I love that you just said, I know that I'm doing the right thing because I don't have that weird feeling in my heart. Right.
Right.
So,
Yes.
so here, we, so um, we do EOS. Do you do EOS over there?
No, no.
Oh, you
I'm
don't?
very
Okay.
familiar with it though.
Yeah. So now EOS has forced us to put like our core values up all over
Yes.
the place and be really clear and
Yes.
verbal about them. But
Correct.
before we started doing EOS, my definition of always doing the right thing was asking myself the question, is this the law firm I used to want to work for? And is it the one I used to want to hire? Right. So I was an employee of a law firm for a while, and then I
Mm-hmm.
was in-house counsel at a company that was hiring law firms all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that was my clarity question of,
Yes.
I knew I was doing the right thing by my employees and my clients when I asked that one question. Is this the law firm I used to want to work for and the one I used to want to hire? And I mean, when you simplify it
Yes.
to that, to like one thing, like in your case, it feels weird in my heart. Or
Right.
in uh it's Rick, is it Rick Knight? what's
Phil Knight.
Phil Knight, you know, two things: always tell the truth, build the best running shoe, right?
Correct.
I mean, I think the more you can simplify it, the easier it is, right?
Yeah.
And in your case, that I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I suspect it made things less stressful at that time, right? If I just keep doing the right thing, nothing that Publix does or the Coca-Cola does or whatever we'll be fine.
We will survive.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It's
Good.
sort of similar, like I tell my kids, if you do something that you don't want anyone to know about, the most important person knows.
Right.
You.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And at the end of the day too, isn't it like it does really come down to like a feeling, you know? And oh man, there's a great video of Steve Jobs. Do you remember when Gawker or WiredNet or somebody stole a prototype, or no, somebody left a prototype of the iPhone at a bar?
Yes.
And they wouldn't give it back, and they took it apart, and they were going to write about it. And Steve Jobs called that reporter and said, "I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to find you." Do you remember this? He was like,
yes.
And then
I don't remember him saying this, but I remember when it happened.
Steve Jobs went ballistic. He said, I'm not negotiating. I mean, this was like out of a movie. He said, I'm going to find you, and I'm going to make your life and your publication's life miserable for forever. And I think he called the FBI. I mean, he kind of went like crazy, and everybody criticized him for it. And there's a great video. If you Google Steve Jobs core values, he tells this interviewer that the reason he felt he needed to go that crazy about that one little incident is because he was very clear on what Apple's core values were. Number one, this was like he considers every invention a work of art. So the original Mac computer, the original engineers signed the mainframe, and their signatures are on the inside of every Mac, right? They sealed it up. And if you opened up any Macintosh, it voided the warranty. And he explained that by saying that you would never allow a Picasso. You would see the Picasso's signature on every one of his paintings, and as soon as anyone messes with it, it ruins the Picasso. That's how I feel about everything we do, and I consider us artists, not tech people, right? And that's how I felt. That's what our core values are. And so when this guy stole our prototype, he was insulting every designer here, and and I was going to go to bat for them the way I would if I was Picasso for one of my paintings, right? I'm sure I'm extrapolating way more from that core value speech than what's in there, but it was so clear to him what to do because he just simply had to rely on the question of who am I as a company,
right?
Leslie, is there anything else as you think back to this entire story and this entire saga and where you were in 2003 and where you are today, that comes to mind in the form of lessons learned or messages or themes or anything like that?
I think it's just the same theme that we've been talking about, which is do the right thing just because it's the right thing, for no other reason. There is such peace with, when you're looking at a decision and you look at the decision that might benefit you better, maybe financially in the short run, but spiritually in the long run, you're going to be destitute. You don't struggle,
Yeah.
So it's just, you've got that path and you follow it, and it makes life so much easier.
Awesome.
And business.
Yeah. Leslie, this was great. Thank you so much. This was
My
awesome.
pleasure.
I really appreciate it. So folks can find you all over the internet. But if basically ardensgarden.com, that's ARDENS garden.com. They're on Twitter and on LinkedIn. Well, Leslie's on LinkedIn. And Arden's Garden is on Twitter, and all of those links are in the show notes. So go to our show notes to get those. And we'll see you guys next time. Leslie, thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Thanks for listening to CEO Confidential. I hope you enjoyed it. Visit us at ceoconfidential.net and visit our sponsors, the business law firm of Gertzberg Licata and Cover My Six, a business solution that flushes out and repairs legal minefields before they blow up in court. We'll see you next time right here for another episode of CEO Confidential.